what they want. Good morning, everybody. I'm here at Tumbling Run Shelter in Pennsylvania. I'm with Heather. She and I came out, well, I was coming out and she volunteered to come with me, thankfully. Otherwise I would have been out here by myself. But I am finishing up Pennsylvania today. Actually, yesterday we did 10 miles from Caledonia State Park to Tumbling Run, and we're finishing up the last like eight to 9 or so from here to Penmar Park. It's too early, I can't remember anything. Yeah, that will finish Pennsylvania for me finally, so yay. It's been lingering over my head. My water is boiling, so I will BRB while I make myself some breakfast and hot cocoa. All right guys, all done eating breakfast. I had some oatmeal and some hot cocoa, and it was delicious. It was one of the very few times I've actually taken the time to make breakfast on trail in the morning. Usually I'm just like, screw that, I just want to get moving. But today we only have 8 miles and it's actually not terribly cold. The thermometer on my pack says it's 40. It is about 8:30 almost. We've taken our time getting ready and getting out this morning just because we do have so little miles. And because it was pretty cold first thing in the morning. So yeah, it was great having breakfast. And also I've only made oatmeal a couple times on trail, and all the other times that I've made it way too watery. So today was also a win because I finally got the right amount of water in my oatmeal, and it was actual real oatmeal consistency. So anyway, I will show you around the shelter area a little bit. This is a really nice shelter and camp spot. I actually also, another momentous occasion for the weekend or for the night, is that I actually slept in the shelter last night instead of putting up a tent, which if any of you knew me on trail or watched my videos, you know I never slept in a shelter. I was always too afraid to because of mice and snakes. But I figured since this is a really well-maintained shelter area and it was so cold last night that there wouldn't be any of those critters walking around or crawling across my face in the middle of the night. So yeah, I slept in the shelter. Can you believe it? It was actually really nice. So much quicker to get set up and packed up this morning. But yeah, I will show you around, and hopefully, I'm sorry I didn't film anything of our hike yesterday. I was just enjoying my time talking and living in the moment, and not really worrying about vlogging. I'll try to, of course, vlog some of the hike today, so I actually have some content other than the shelter area to show you. So yeah, I'll show you around here. All right, so this is Tumbling Run Shelter. It is one of the first shelters you get to in Pennsylvania if you're going Nobo. There is one other shelter that we go by today. I can't remember the name of it offhand, but I believe this is the second shelter in PA. Don't quote me on that if you're going Nobo. But yeah, Tumbling Run, and this is one of those really nice shelter areas that has 2 shelters. They each sleep probably, I don't know, I would say 4 to 6. 6 would be a squeeze, but 4 would be comfortable. This is the famous snoring and no snoring shelter area, which is funny because they're really close to each other, and if you were in the no snoring, you would totally definitely hear snores over here. Anyway, but we slept in the no snoring side, even though I did catch myself snoring a couple of times in the middle of the night on my back. And then there's this really nice like picnic pavilion in between the 2. There's a covered picnic table and one out in the open. Another cool thing that I haven't seen in any other shelters is that there are clotheslines behind each of the shelters, which is super nice for drying your stuff if you come in soaking wet. Yeah, there's fire pits, sunken fire pits in the ground in front of each shelter. There's a dedicated hammock area over here, which is pretty cool. And then lots of places for tent camping. Like you could definitely throw up a tent in here if you were desperate. There are dedicated tent site areas. Again, another super nice like fire ring with wooden benches. But yeah, there's tent sites back here. There is a really nice privy, 10 out of 10. It has a doorbell, hand sanitizer, there's air fresheners, and really clean. Here's the AT. That's northbound. Southbound is where we're going today. And then just past the privy, there is a group tent site area, which is a really large tenting space, I guess, for big groups coming in. And I think that there's also even a bear box back there. There are bear poles up here. You can kind of see it over there for hanging your food, but it does look like there's a bear box over here in the group tenting area. And then yeah, another nice random bench to sit on. I guess if you're sitting waiting for the privy, you can sit there and wait. Yeah, super impressed with this shelter area. It was a really great experience for my first shelter sleeping experience. It might have spoiled all future stays in shelters for me though. Alright guys, I figured I should address the elephant in the room, the Foothills Trail. So if you didn't see my community post on my channel, you probably are wondering why this video is not from the Foothills Trail, because I know I announced I was doing that in December, and yeah, it turns out I'm not. A few different reasons for that. So first and foremost, my dog Declan had to go back to Penn Vet, the specialty vet in Philadelphia last week, the week before Christmas, because he has fluid issues again. So some of you may have followed along on that whole journey, but we were a lot of money in debt from saving him over the summer, and we are still kind of in limbo with him now. After his visit to the vet last week, we don't know how much money we're looking at potentially needing to spend on him again. And of course, like, we just keep thinking like worst case scenario, needing to put out a lot of money. So my Foothills Trail through hike wasn't going to be that expensive, but it was going to be like $500 or so, I would say, by the time you added up hotel before and after, because it's like a 10-hour drive, so I would have to stay in a hotel, and then gas, food, the shuttle, and parking. It would have added up, and I just didn't, sorry, my nose is running. I just didn't really want to spend that kind of money, not really knowing how much we were going to need to be spending on Declan. His visit last week was like $900. Second thing is, what is the second thing? Oh, the second thing was the weather forecast on the Foothills Trail. It definitely was doable. Like the temps, overnight temps were in like the low 30s. Daytime temps were fine. So temp wise, it was fine, but there was rain in the forecast, and I just didn't really want to be wet from rain and then cold, and dealing with that. So that contributed.
So there is a third reason I didn't go on the trail. I thought I recorded a video talking about it, but apparently I never hit record. Anyway, the third thing is that Jordan tested positive on Christmas Eve for COVID, a second time this year. So given the fact that I'm around him every day, very obviously being exposed to him and COVID, I decided to stay home and not go out on the Foothills Trail on the chance that I contracted it from him and would test positive. First things first, I didn't want to infect anyone else that was out hiking the Foothills Trail. And second thing, I didn't want to be in the middle of the Foothills Trail, you know, where there's very remote access, testing positive, feeling like crap, and not being able to get out. So I just decided to stay home, give it a few days, make sure I was still testing negative, to ensure that I didn't actually pick it up from him. I was optimistic I wouldn't because I didn't get it from him the first time around that he had it, and I've never had it so far. So I'm just an overly cautious person when it comes to COVID, and I didn't want to be responsible for getting anyone else sick or getting myself in a bad situation being stuck on trail with it. So that was the third and final thing that would have put me over the edge deciding not to go had the first and second things not been factors. So yeah, sorry I didn't record an actual video of that, but there you go.
So yeah, that's the story with the Foothills Trail. I do plan to still go out and do it at some point. At this point, it probably won't be until March or April sometime. This week instead, we just stayed home for Christmas Eve by ourselves and quarantined. My mother-in-law dropped some food off for us. And then on Christmas Day, Jordan drove to his parents' house and picked up food from the driveway, and then we decided to go back and exchange gifts in the driveway, and then we just hung out at home the rest of the week. Jordan had to work this week, so he's working from home though, and yeah, I decided to still try to maximize my forced time off this week and at least get out one night on the trail, testing out my new backpack that I'll do like a little review on later. Yeah, we are about 0.1 miles to Deer Lick Shelter. We might do like a quick little pop in there and take a short little break. We are 3.35 miles in for the day, so just a little under halfway, and feeling good. Cute little stream. Not much flowing from the spring itself, but there's a flow down that way. That's nice.
Oh, cool. Okay, I am just steps away from finishing Pennsylvania.